I always came back to this. Now I use my power for the greater good. Sort of. Exploiting suits pays big. Downside, I'm making suits unexploitable. Don't feel great about it. I know, the hacker chick thing's kind of a Y2K cliche, but whatever. It's a role that suits me. And I look hot in black. This felt like home. I was in control. I call the shots. I was surrounded, but anonymous. I watched the world outside my window slowly fall apart, safe from my perch. Something's going on. World's on fire. Maybe it always was. Only difference is now, people can't ignore it. Someone's out there blowing things up like a balloon, and it's about to pop. Maybe that's a good thing. And just when I thought the world couldn't get any shittier, it didn't. I made a girl.
The fuck did you do with Molly?
We didn't do anything with her.
Liar!
Like, she was our friend. She needed our help. She contacted us.
Shut up! Tell me where she is.
We don't know where she
Say
is.
that, I
We're
mean
trying to
it.
help. We're trying to find her.
Shit! Get the fuck out of me! Tell me where she is! What? You're gonna kill me? Huh?
Stop fighting. Stop screaming and listen to us.
Nobody's killing anyone, and if you care about Molly, you'll help us find her.
And we are live. Welcome to chapter 1.5 of Building a Dark Web. All about chapter 5 of our show, Dark Web on Amazon Prime, nominated for 7 Emmys and winner of 1 Emmy. Today, we have back with us again, Mario Miscione, top left for me, Tim Nardelli.
What's up, everyone?
Roxy, Shih, director of this entire episode, including Eat, Pray, Love, which we're going to talk extensively about. Cinematographer, Alan, director of photography. Let's talk about, why do some people use the different terms? Alan Ho.
Hey, what's up? They're supposedly interchangeable, but I have heard that some people, when they call themselves cinematographer, it usually means they also operate. But I don't think people really know that distinguishment.
It's good to know, because I feel like in old movies they always said like cinematography by, but now it's director of photography, Alan Ho.
Sometimes I'll insist that my credit is director of photography if I feel like I'm actually telling a lot of people what to do. Like I'm directing the photography more as like being just hands-on, and I don't know. It's like a little.
So if you were less hands-on, you'd be a cinematographer?
No, opposite. Less hands-on, I'd be director of photography.
Oh.
'Cause I'm directing people what to do. I don't know.
I think I get it. Let's talk more about that. I'm curious. But let's finish the introductions. Sibongile Mlambo, who joins us, representing our t-shirt, and who also joins the series. Well, you joined the series at the end of the last episode.
Your hand joined the series.
Technically, chapter 5 is your big introduction. So thank you all for joining us. And since I cut Alan off, and since I randomly started that question, so wait, let's finish that discussion before I move on. So what do you prefer? You prefer to be called director of photography?
I think so, because I feel like I feel like I'm directing a lot of people, like my assistant cameraman, my lighting people.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually
can prestige.
Kind of, yeah. It gives you more prestige.
Like,
cinematographer also sounds like cinematographer,
which I've been called many times by Roxy.
But it also sounds like cinema.
Yeah, like maybe if I was doing a documentary and I was the only person, I'd call myself a cinematographer. I don't know. They're pretty much interchangeable, but yeah.
So cinematographer is more like you're a one-man, one-woman show with your camera. You're kind of like all up in it.
That's how I kind of feel.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's a book somewhere that is like complete, says.
It's one of those things. I feel like I should have known this. Like Roxy and Mario, have you ever wondered the difference? Have you ever been curious?
Yeah, I've wondered the difference. I've never really.
I don't know, but now I feel very educated and
never cared enough to ask until now.
Director of photography, that title holds more prestige.
I'm glad I know this. See, this is why these roundtables are so good. I learn questions that I should have asked.
Cinematographer almost feels more like a career, whereas director of photography is a role on a film. So like if someone who was constantly a director of photography, you'd call yourself a cinematographer, but on a movie, the role you did was, because I feel like you almost always in credits see director of photography, but these are all really famous cinematographers doing those roles. So that sort of maybe is, but I don't know, I'm just pulling that out of my ass.
Well, that is kind of how I use it too. That's a good way to describe it, actually.
So Sibongile, are you an actress or a thespian then? Because we have different terms too.
Well, I would say actress just because I haven't done a lot of theater. You know, like it's something that I feel like thespian is really like if you have been in the theater, you know.
Beauty
I
Dent.
haven't done that, so I wouldn't call myself a thespian. No.
Do you guys believe that like a year ago we were at Comic-Con?
I know, you're today.
I know.
Oh, isn't that crazy? Oh, I miss Comic-Con. We were in a crazy freight elevator designed for the Beatles.
We were signing autographs. Me and Roxy have never felt more like superstars.
I'm like, we were just like, they have no idea who we are,
No,
but
they're
they
just,
want
like, signing us
autographs.
up. Okay.
That was like our
Thank goodness
dream.
we went before. Like, I'm so glad we went to Comic-Con and this didn't happen.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I know.
Like, we actually got to have the real experience.
Wouldn't that be so upsetting? I mean, there's bigger things to be upset about in the world, but if we were like planning on going and then it got canceled for, you know, COVID reasons and things like that,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, so disappointing.
Back when,
Speaking of disappointments, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say, back in the day where we weren't quarantined and we didn't have to do the social distancing.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't, if we didn't have social distancing, we wouldn't all be on Zoom together right now.
We have to
Does
be
that
in
make
person.
up for it? Nobody's happy about that. Okay, I'm trying to be positive tonight. Well, no, actually I'm not. So, on this very special episode of Building a Dark Web, tonight we're going to talk about loss. Losing Emmys.
Oh no!
No, I think we should talk about it because, like, you know, we were all excited. We got 7 Emmy nominations. We won 1 for lighting, and but I think, like, since we're talking about the making of the show and the release of the show, like, filmmakers and actors experience rejection and loss a lot, and it might be good to talk about because every week we've been like, ooh, Emmy nominations, and now we're dealing with the reality that we didn't win as many as we would have liked. You know,
But we have one more category, right?
Yeah.
we have one more category, yeah, but you know, we all wanted like best series. That would have been amazing. You know, it's amazing that we got nominated. But let's talk about how we deal with loss.
I will say, I mean, to say 7 Emmy nominations, that's huge. That's a feat in itself, you know? So.
Sorry about that.
Great job, Alan.
No, I really think so. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
a resume headline.
Yeah, I mean, like, so my day job for many years has been in the studio system and doing awards campaigns, and I do know that sort of wins are great, but nominations are so important just to sort of the awareness of a project and sort of to be recognized with that many nominations is still really good. And like winning would have been great, but like, you know, like I said, like, you know, the day before we lost, you know, if we don't win tomorrow, right, nothing's changed, right? Like, we're still nominees. That doesn't go away just because you didn't win. We didn't get this bonus thing, which would have been cool, but I feel like the nominations are still really good.
Yeah.
We're already recognized. So
Exactly.
that's the whole
Like-
point, is to be seen.
And we had a ton of even pre-nominations too. So like to be recognized even before the final nomination was great.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, if this is like, it's just beginning. Like, okay, this year the nominations got 1. So then next time, you know, it's kind of setting you up for next time.
Next time, all
Yeah.
of them.
All of
How
them.
do you, Sibongile, you're a talented actress who books most of her jobs, but you don't book every job, right? So how
That
do
is
you
not
deal?
true. True.
It's
We
not
will
true
go
that you
out-
do book or you don't book. I think you book most of your.
No, that, you know, we'll go out for 100, say in 1 year, 100 auditions and maybe book 3. or 5, 3, but it's still such a, you know, the ones that you actually win are such a small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they'll take up all your time, or they'll blow up into something great like dark web. So it's really just kind of, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Rejection is so hard, but you kind of just get used to it, and you sort of have to have the memory of a goldfish. It's just, hey, do the thing, you know, do the audition. Maybe when you get out of it, you'll think about it a little bit, but then that's it. You have to cut it off and carry on moving forward, because then you'll be stuck, and then there's no going forward if you're stuck, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Love it. So how do you guys deal with it when it does happen though? Like, because we've been, you know, we've said
the wins or the rejections.
Huh?
How do we deal with what? The wins or the rejections?
The wins, we know how we deal with. The wins are like, yeah, how we were at Comic-Con.
Just get drunk.
Raging. But no, how do you deal with the rejection / losses? Each of you.
I have breakdowns. Shoot, I have breakdowns. A good cry is always good. Talking to a friend, those pep talks. Oh, and something else that's really good is just looking back on what you have done and remembering and kind of giving yourself a pat on the back. I've been editing my reels, so I've been forced to kind of look back on stuff. And that's kind of helped to be like, you know what? All these auditions I'm doing now that I'm not getting, it's fine. You've done stuff. And so if you've done it in your past, you can do it again.
I think we place so much emphasis on like wanting to accomplish the first thing right away. You know what I mean? Like, Michael, you know, you're an actor, but like, look, you've done a freaking like full length television series as the writer, producer, and actor, Emmy nominated, all this shit. Like, that is not a lot of people can say that. I would say the majority of the world can't say that, you know what I mean? And I agree with the fact that, like, look, everything that's in the past is in the past, and that's what we grew from. And right now it's like, oh, but we have that visibility, we have that recognition, you have that nomination prestige. And now it's like focusing on the present, visualizing where you want to go from here, because you can only go up. Like, honestly, if you were to continuously win all the time, how much pressure is that to like having to win more awards or like to have even more recognition? And I think that I was talking to Mary about this. I was like, awards season is great, but my God, it gives us so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're competing with each other when we really shouldn't be.
And art is so subjective.
Yeah, and losing, like, so what? You know what I mean? It's like you're still going to be making more, and the intention behind your content should only be fueled even more. You know what I mean? If you win, you're just like, fuck, how am I supposed to like step up from here? You know what I mean? There's that pressure. Right? Yeah. And you can't mess up. It's like, oh, is it going to be as good as Dark Web? You know what I mean? But I don't think we should give ourselves that kind of pressure.
Well, it's weird because I'm not a big award show person. Like, I don't think any of them. And I agree with Mario, it's hard to be subjective. Like, art shouldn't be that way. It's like what my favorite show this year is going to be totally different from somebody else. And it's like, who's to say one's better than the other? But when you get in the mix of it all, you do kind of like, ooh, but it would be really cool.
Yeah, like I never thought, oh, I can't wait to win a daytime Emmy, but we got nominated, and I was like, shit, I want to win a daytime Emmy now.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'll put it there, and you know, then I'm an Emmy-winning filmmaker.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right, exactly.
Like.
Right, and then I think also it's I think we can just use it. It's fun to like commiserate with your like friends and people you were nominated with who didn't win. And then I think also like just like use it a little bit as motivation. Like, be like, okay, this happened, but I'm excited to get to the next thing, and I'm excited to make something else. And maybe that'll get recognized. Who knows?
Well, it was like this fun little surprise that we had during quarantine that for me, it was like, ooh, this is a fun thing to like be hopeful about, during this dark time, one selfish little, thing, the Emmys. And so now it's gone, but it's my acting coach, or one of them, Craig Wallace, always said like, in terms of auditions and rejection and everything, like you have to find some level of stability, because it's like you're getting excited about things you never actually had. Like you never had that Emmy in your mind. You sort of like fantasy, or that part or whatever, and then you don't get it, but it's like it was never yours necessarily to begin with.
No one took it away from you.
Yeah, it's like you do have to keep that in mind. Like your life isn't any different now that it's the same life, that you've been living, which
that like because of the way it's done this year, we had to wait so much longer to find out about it. And this process, like if you were doing rounds and rounds of callbacks for a role, you become more invested in it naturally because of the time that you've invested into it. So the rejection is more disappointing the longer the results take.
Totally.
And the closer you get, definitely.
Yeah, like I think if this were all to happen in the first ceremony, it would be like, yeah, cool, but like
whatever. It would have been in May, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we lost the first round, or we didn't get best. We were like, okay, but we still have more categories coming up in another month, And then we have one more this weekend, so we'll see what
is the one
up against Sesame Street. So we're
probably still going to be talking about loss in the next episode. The new theme.
Which category is this weekend?
Main title design.
Titles.
Our opening credits, which
Ours are cool.
Pretty cool. We're gonna talk about. Oh no, we're gonna talk
ours we worked a long time on. That was a process getting those credits.
Now remember back in 2017, the post group when we were in those small little offices working on it, going back and forth, Frame.io.
Because we basically created every piece that you fly through, everything we created, and then gave to Justin, who composited everything and did all the effects. It was like very tedious.
I remember when we first saw them, I think, Michael, we were at your place when we first watched the show, or we watched a few episodes. I don't know if you watched the whole show. And it was our first time seeing the opening credits, and we were like, yo, like reacting to each character getting introduced.
I remember when Roxy saw him for the first time, she went,
That's how you know she's excited, that noise.
I feel like it was my velociraptor reaction. So ambiguous. Do I like it? I don't know.
I imitate everything you do.
I know you do. You parrot me.
I know. Let's dance. So speaking of you, let's talk about Eat, Pray, Love.
Drink.
I'm sorry. I feel like.
I know. If you're having second thoughts, it's okay.
No. I want to do this. I want to do this. For you. For me. I've come to like you. I want this.
Okay, so, maybe we should just relax a little. Not take things so seriously. Okay?
That'd be good.
Yeah. You ready?
Sick lady. Where did you get? Well, I know what you got. I was there when you got the inspiration for it, but tell our millions and millions of listeners on this also soon to be Emmy winning web series. That's funny.
I'm gonna take it back way to the way beginning, back when Michael and I were in Nice and in the south of France for the time. And
so fancy and
so fancy and
nowadays.
And then I think he was still working on the script with Mario, and then the format of the show was still going through its incarnations and trying to determine what it was. And so it was very much like, I think Michael was asking about anthologies for the show. And originally I had like this very bizarre idea regarding like this female monster, and it had to do with kind of aging and also about womanhood and the fear of aging. And it was really cool. And Michael was like the very first person who like supported it because it was so dark. And I love that about him. But it had nothing to do with technology, which is what dark web is really threaded upon. So then, you know, I was talking to my co-writer, Ian Paxton, who wrote my first film, The Tribe. And he actually...
Which you should watch as well. It's on Amazon Prime?
It's on a lot of things. Yeah, it's also on Amazon Prime.
The Tribe,
The Tribe, 2016. Not the Ukrainian film, the American one, by me, Roxy, Shih. And Michael's also on the key art, so you can't miss it.
Andy Winters and Jessica Roth.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, check out that movie. And then so basically we started doing some research, and there's a very famous story about these two cannibal lovers. And also the dark web does have stories about people willing to give up their body parts for people who desire them willingly, consensually. And there's just something so, I think, seductive about this and so taboo, but so deviant, that I found very interesting, because if you're talking about a relationship, you know, that's unconventional or deviant or, you know, seen differently by society, judged by society, it has many layers, right? So it's like, this goes for two people who find a mutual understanding of each other, but you basically take it all the way. And one is in need of something and the other one is willing to give. So one is destructive and the other one is self-destructive. So it's like they fit a mutual need for each other. So it's very interesting to explore that. And then I just started to think about older women, because I really resonate with, you know, there's a whole thing about like women aging and like feeling undesirable or like unwanted. And then we were also thinking about like modern dating, right? And like the usage of Tinder and all the apps, but use it in a dark web format. Like what if dark web had, you know, a dating site for all the deviants to fulfill certain needs? And for this one, it was just about, you know, this young man who really wanted to, who was suicidal, depressed. And like, you know, I think our modern world has created a lot of anxiety and mental illness, especially in the internet world. And then there was this older woman who lost her husband at a very young age and needed to, you know, meet younger men who looked like him at the time. And basically, I'm just gonna say it because I'm assuming that people have seen it already. No spoilers, but like,
if they haven't, now they're gonna really want to see it.
Yeah, like she consumes them, and basically the twist at the end of the anthology is that you think, you know, he's walking into the lion's den, but actually the twist is that he was willing and he knew straight from the beginning that he was gonna sacrifice himself for her. So I think yeah, this is sort of like that layer of like for me, at the very root of this, it's about deviant relationships and about taboo relationships and how everyone's connection is different. And it also has layers of like assisted suicide and like all this stuff, like what is right, what is wrong. But if two people find that need within each other, they fulfill each other, like what right do we have? Anyways, it could be very controversial if you want to go that way. But in that sense, if you are able to give this relationship a lens of empathy, I think that's really what shakes people after watching this episode, is because you see it through like a more compassionate lens rather than, oh my God, like she's a monster. You know what I mean? Because monsters are all created from a place of pain. So anyways, blah, blah, blah. Very happy to have had this opportunity to make Eat, Pray, Love. It was really fun. I'm glad I was able to bring on my amazingly talented friend, Alan, who's here. To help shoot it. So it was a wild, incredible experience.
Alan, what did you think when she shared this story with you?
I mean, well, it's actually influenced, right, by a true story.
Yeah.
Yep.
That actually happened.
A couple different ones, right? There were like,
I think in Germany or something.
One main one. It's about I can't say his name correctly. Something Maives, but he's basically what happened was he had a lover who was much younger than him. They're both gay, and the younger one was in the closet and depressed and suicidal. And so he basically they have this, you know, relationship, and one day the younger man comes over. The older one feeds him 20 sleeping pills, which he obediently takes. And then over the course of the next few hours, chops up his dick, fries it, goes to eat it, and then puts him in a bathtub as he's bleeding out.
And
he reads like a Star Wars book.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and remember he like took a break to read a Star Trek novel while
He read like a Star Trek novel, and then he
while
slits
his
his
dick
throat.
was cooking.
Yeah, and he slits his throat, and then he dies, and then he cuts up his body and eats him over the course of 2 weeks. And then what happened was that like they took him to court and they wanted to charge him of murder, you know, all this stuff. And then he goes, "Go ahead, take me." But the twist was that he had recorded evidence of the younger man's consent to do all of this. So it like threw the whole system into a big what the fuck, like what is right, what is wrong. He consented, you know, and it's just really interesting when it sort of flips the script like that, right? Like both parties were willing to do it.
They also found each other on the internet, I think, too, which I thought was like really
so romantic. I know.
Apropos. Because that's like oh, did I cut somebody off? No. Oh, because the show is about like real life dark. Now I cut you off. Go ahead, Mark.
No, it's fine. I was saying I recently watched the show Hannibal for the first time.
Yeah.
I like
gruesome.
In one sequence, he's talking about this scenario, but they elaborate on it a little bit. And I don't know how true it is, but basically he says, if I remember this correctly, that the guy burnt the penis, and that he.
So specific. It's all these details, guys. It's always about the penis.
So I don't know if that's true or something they did for the show, but he basically says that the penis was burnt and he ate it, and they were like, so it was good, but it wasn't really as good as he wanted it to be. I just thought of you when I heard the penis story.
Thanks, love.
You're welcome. I'll always think of
what
you.
A cautionary tale in so many ways. One, to not give your body up like that. Two, to not give it up to somebody who doesn't know how to cook.
Well, did she
Honestly,
eat
the
all
most-
of him though? Did she?
I take that
eat all
back.
of him?
What'd you say, Sibongile?
Did she eat all of him? That was my question. Did she eat his whole body?
In Eat, Pray, Love, does she, Roxy?
It's
It would be a shame if she didn't. And
Right.
she was extremely wasteful because in the anthology she only eats like a fillet of him, right?
Yeah.
So, but then she gets a match at the end of the episode, so she's like,
Just
"All
so
right,
hungry."
I have to taste of this one. It's a little bit on the sour side, so I don't know if that's like for me. So I'm gonna find something with a little bit more of a savory kick to it.
It's like, I want some dessert.
Nice freezer.
You know, I want sweeter blood or something like that.
So, okay. So, Alan, let me pull up my questions. So I wasn't actually there when you guys filmed this episode. I was in Georgia. It's the only thing in Dark Web I wasn't present for, ever. And I remember I got pictures you guys were sending. I was like, oh my God, these look all, it reminded me of Neon Demon. What was that movie that came out around that time? I was like, woo, this looks cool. Look at all these reds and blues. It looks so different than everything else that we shot. So both of y'all, Alan and Roxy, talk about your influences for Eat, Pray, Love, which was at one point called Love Me, Eat Me.
Dominoes.
I mean, one of the biggest influences was Hitchcock, right? And that's sort of like in our first conversation we had together, we talked about vertigo and using color, like strong colors, to kind of like create this mood for the story. So we integrated that a lot into the cinematography. There's a theory that the colors red and yellow make people hungry. That's why like McDonald's, Carl's Jr., In-N-Out, they all have a combination of red and yellow. And so we kind of took off with that a little bit. So there's a lot of that color palette in this.
There's like ketchup and mustard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember when Alan was suggesting, he's like, oh, yellows and reds. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. But then like when we started shooting like the intimacy stuff, like that really just gave it like a different temperature and a different, it heightened, you know, all of it visually and atmospherically in a way that I didn't expect. So yeah, I was just like, all right, Alan, just fucking run with it, whatever, you know, like just do your thing, have fun. And also Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love is also a big influence.
Right.
Which one?
In the Mood for Love.
I haven't seen it.
Honey, this is homework.
All right, In the mood for love. Wait, who directed it?
Wong Kar-wai.
Okay, I gotta watch it. In the mood for love. Okay. I'm ready.
Roxy also had, we also talked about the color green, which is apparent in Vertigo. It's usually like giving a sense of like danger or like mysteriousness. So there's like elements of that in her. The first time you see Claire, I forgot. I don't know if we named the character, did we?
Sam. Her name's Sam.
Oh, okay. She's like in this dark green robe or coat thing, and then she has like a splash of green around her face and when they first meet, because it's kind of like there's all this allusion to their inner carnal desires, but it's all like beneath the surface.
And for you, because it was pretty much one location, I think for all of it. Yeah, it was 2 nights, one location. Everybody always thinks that makes life easier, one location, but were there challenges you didn't expect or challenges that were different filming this as opposed to other things you guys have worked on?
It was tough. We shot at a house, and the first scene takes place sort of like at a, like a night exterior lounge place. So it was like just trying to be creative with a backyard that has a pool and like making that feel like we're at a, like a fancy Hollywood restaurant. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the challenges. The other was, when we location scouted the house, there's this huge window that's in the living room. And the second I saw it, I was like, this is where the bedroom should be, because the character is sort of like this upper middle class woman who's, it kind of shows this history and sort of like this grandeur that we really liked. So that we decided to put the bedroom scene in front of this like gigantic window that overlooks the city.
That was a great idea.
It was really fun. I think the hardest part was it's overnight, so I get sleepy.
You do?
That's really it. I mean, like, I always like shooting, not having a company move anywhere, and like being creative on how to utilize a space. I mean, when you're on an indie budget and schedule, it's like that is how you can maximize your time actually shooting and blocking and like working and actually, getting the movie. So I think that was like a real blessing that we're able to do it all in that one location. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult, for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot. You guys got a lot, and you even got that little snippet outdoors in bright daylight that you.
Oh, the makeout scene. That was the very first thing we did. It's like, hey, it was like James and Claire. It's like they just met, and I'm like, all right, guys, make out. Let's break the ice. Let's go.
Like an icebreaker.
I know.
Okay, I'm coming back to you two. I have questions for Sibongile. But wait, Alan, real quick. Your favorite camera and your favorite lens type and why?
Camera and lens type. I always say the Alexa Mini is the gold standard. I'm not sure if it was out at the time. So we used Lars's Alexa Classic, I believe.
Yep. For some of it, yeah.
I'm always a big fan of anamorphic lenses, but a lot of times it's like a wider look, and a lot of television shows don't use that because they need to have that like 16:9 frame.
And is that the lens that you used on Eat, Pray, Love?
No, Eat, Pray, Love, because we were mostly night. We used what Lars had available. There's, I think there were super speeds, which you can see a lot of light. In dark situations, basically. It's more like a practicality thing. Like I knew that it's going to be dark, it's going to be moody. We're going to shoot outside for some of it. So
are his super speeds vintage or no?
Yeah, I think they're from the 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
And do you prefer vintage over new?
I think so. Yeah. Because they have like a softening quality to them that takes away like the digital feel.
Interesting. I like the older ones too. I feel like they have more lens flares and weird. I don't know. More.
Yeah, there's like weird textures, and I mean we're influenced by Hitchcock, and in the Mood for Love, and those, were made, In the Mood for Love was made in the 90s, but a lot of the Hitchcock stuff is shot with older lenses, and so I think it kind of helps create that look that we were going for.
And you use that beautiful macro lens.
Right.
That's.
I had a question. Did we use James the actor for the body dissection scene, or was it like a PA or something?
No, it was
I heard you use James. Didn't you shave him for real?
Yeah, we shaved him for real. He was so gung-ho and so down for everything. It's really wonderful to have an actor like that.
You need that when you have a rough 2-day, run and gun. It's cool that he did that. It was
go the way. Yeah.
Open to that. And of course you asked him for his consent and all that before. It's not like you ate him.
Oh, absolutely. No, what am I?
We don't want to get in trouble.
I'm not surprised. She loved to write. She was always sending me new stuff.
Were they all this twisted?
Molly was drawn to that stuff. She was working through her shit. We both were.
Wow, we all have issues.
I knew I recognized you. You're that chick who got famous over those nudie pics, right?
Exactly how do you know so much about Molly?
We were in love. Had a real good thing, then she disappeared.
Molly was gay.
News to me.
Makes sense.
Totally nothing wrong with that.
I'm sure she appreciates the validation.
All right, so Sibongile. What the hell did you think when you read this script for the first time, if you can remember that far back? Because it was forever ago.
Oh my gosh.
16.
Did we get I don't know if we got the full scripts or if we just got the sides.
Well, what did you think of those? And then didn't you rehearse with Noemi or something before you guys came?
Yes! Yeah, for the audition. So I'm not sure if we got the full script, but I know the sides. I mean, what I liked about Amy was just, she was this badass character, because I think one of my auditions was that scene with the gun.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Everybody. I think that was one of the auditions. And so, having this badass character, and then the other scene was with me and Molly when she's talking about her stories, and it was kind of emotional. So it felt like, she was going to have she was going to be emotional, but also badass and stuff. So that kind of, drew me to her. And it was the chemistry read where our reps were like, well, both of you are going in for the chemistry read, so why don't you just get on the phone and talk to each other? I don't think I'd ever had a chemistry read before. It was my first chemistry read. So I was like, yes, let's do it. Let's talk to each other. So we did. We had a conversation before we actually, had the callback.
And you did also. I knew right when you came in, I was like, that has to be Amy. It must be Amy. Even though, I think Mario and Tim and Roxy, do you guys remember, in my mind, she was written differently. She was kind of it almost would have been cliche if we went the way that she was originally written, which was kind of girl with the dragon tattoo, hacker, whatever. That's pretty much how it was written. And then it's you came in.
Oh my God, I remember.
A different vibe, but it was so Amy, and it just shows how a good casting director and keeping an open mind when you're casting can make the writing so much better. Because I think if we had gone with the original plan, it would have been kind of cliche. And it was
Well, I remember
being at the casting, and there was so many different kinds of people for Amy. There were complete blondes to brunettes, redhead. They were just completely different.
It was so interesting because we did have a lot of contenders for Amy, and I remembered there were a couple candidates where we were like, oh yeah, we could see this, but Sibongile, I will tell you, this is bringing me back. The moment we saw you, the moment I saw you, I was before you even spoke, we were just this girl has this unspeakable presence. It's just the way you stood and the way you looked at us. And it was before you even opened your mouth, there was something so unique and illustrious about you. I would say.
Yep.
I'm so happy that like we went with you, and like you also gave Amy all these other layers and textures that weren't on the script and weren't in our heads in the beginning, and it gave her such a unique dynamic addition to like what our Scooby Gang would be, you know, and I'm so happy we went with that.
Oh, thanks for telling me that. I'm gonna keep that in my sunshine pocket.
Yeah, you were. Me and Roxy were both. I think we were just like, "Yep, done." And you were super professional and prepared, and had a good attitude. And yeah, it was just like it took what was on the page and made it much more interesting and dynamic and unique. And there were other good gals that came in to read for it, and some of them were like spot on with like the look and the writing, but it was almost it didn't. I don't know. It didn't almost serve them to be that literal. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it because it's like
that's what it is, right? Like I think everybody who's learning how to be a filmmaker or is a filmmaker, like when you're new, you're always so attached to a certain vision of like what you create, but you have to learn to let go and to let new ideas come in, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I think, and there's never a set rule because then it's like New Me came in and was very much what was written, you know, in terms of what we're looking for, like age and personality and looks and appearance and all that stuff. And it just fit. But then, you know, Sibongile was totally different and it worked just, I don't know, it's weird. There's never one set rule, you know? I think it's like and Russell Bose was our casting director, and he was really great about just kind of keeping open minds for all the different roles, which is I think how it should be done, you know?
Yeah, love that about Russell because he thinks out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you came in, you read, and then how was working on this different, because you've done tons of big stuff. Now,
yeah, let me tell you, this was the first series that I shot once I moved to Los Angeles. So I was actually terrified. I felt like a deer in the headlights, you know, and it's just getting onto this train and basically holding on for dear life and trying to keep it together. Basically is I think how I felt. And of course there was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of fun to be had, but I remember because it was a lot of pages, it was a lot of dialogue. Probably the most dialogue that I'd had at that point, that was the most dialogue that I'd ever had before in a job. So it was like, well, I gotta learn all these lines, and you know, and it was, I think, my first table read in the States too. So it was a lot of, I feel like it was a lot of new things. And so I learned, it was a lot of learning on the job.
Mm-hmm. Well, we couldn't tell.
Okay.
Yeah, you did great.
Linda, you're awesome. I remember you were always stretching before a scene.
Oh, yes, I do that.
I'm going to start doing that. She's always.
That helps me to, it helps me to release the tension. And I think also because of my dance background, it's just, I need movement. I need to, stretch and let it out.
Well, I copied you. Now I do it. I learned from you. Learn from the best. What do you like most about Amy, your character?
Oh my gosh. I guess just how offbeat she was, you know, and Amy didn't really give a fuck about what anyone else thought. She just did her own thing. So I think that's what I really liked about her.
I like that kind of crazy.
Keep, you know, I've tried to be like, let me get some of that Amy and put it into my own personality, you know. But I think, it was just, you know, she didn't give a fuck. She was looking for.
She's kind of Han Solo-ish. She just kind of like jumps in head first.
It's like James was like holding a gun, you know, pointing a gun at her, and she was just like drinking her whiskey and taking her time, and she's like, I don't care, and you are nothing. You know what I mean?
It's like, I'm not worried about you.
I'm not worried about any of that. I'm sitting down, I have complete power, even though he has a gun.
And you were holding that gun for so long.
It hurts when you have to do it.
Yeah, I remember your arms getting sore.
They like, your arms get used, and then you move your arms and you go, ah. because they like get
You're
stuck
welcome
in
for your workout. That was
Yeah, I know. All that balance. Oh. And so what would you like to see for Amy when and if there's a season 2?
Oh, I'd love to see her hack like one of these major corporations or something, you know, and do more kind of vigilante shit. Yeah, more of that stuff.
And
And
also
you're not-
incorporate a dance solo so that
Yes.
With you, Roxy.
Yes.
A dance off.
In a nightclub in Nice.
yes.
A gay
Okay.
nightclub.
Oh, the gay nightclub. Yes, let's go back.
Wonderful.
If I'm mean or nice to you, Roxy, maybe I'll include that video of you in one of these videos.
No, oh my God, Michael totally has. Oh my God.
Dancing like
The voguing ones. I would love to see it.
Oh yeah. Oh my tits are out. Yeah, but like, Michael totally has a video of me that he could blackmail me with.
I saw that video.
Blackmail, it's like flattering. We all
Isn't
wish
it? I was so.
you're having the time of your life and you were dancing really good. I mean, I think
Aw, thanks, Bunny.
it's a good video.
I remember.
So, Mario and Tim Nardelli. This episode, we were talking about the opening credits, which the assembly of the opening credits we kind of called Hell Week in post-production. But then this episode also had Amy's introduction is this crazy, frenetic montage, like on steroids, on cocaine, on something. And let's discuss. You had to create a lot of assets.
Well, first of
Broke it
all,
down into
when
four.
we were in development on this episode, I was not really sure about that montage.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, this feels really like out of tone. Like, is this like such a weird departure? And we'd always reference, and Michael referenced specifically, what is the name of that movie?
Rules of Attraction? That one?
Rules of Attraction, yeah, where they have that one guy who goes across Europe, and we see very quickly his like manic, crazy kind of thing. And that was sort of the inspiration. And I liked that in that movie, and I was like, is this crazy? But Roxy and Michael were super on board, super I was overruled, and it turned out really cool, so I'm glad I was overruled. But yeah, I remember.
Are you glad you were overruled? Because you wanted to exile. It didn't, the tone of it was different, but it was like you're meeting Amy, every other main character.
I think as soon as it started coming together, I was, oh, I get it. I'm fine with this. Like, but when we were in development, before it was actually like put together at all, I just was like, is this too weird? Because we also have never had anyone talk to camera before. Like, we're sort of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, like, you know. And so I guess the lesson there is just, you know, be open to it and try things out. And like, also if you get overruled, you got to be collaborative. It's a collaboration. It turned out really cool, and so it's good. Yeah, putting it together was ludicrous because just like the opening credits are, you know, there are so many pieces. Everything you see, you know, every time you see an interface, we have to have a graphic artist come in and design an original interface for the show and have mouse cursors moving around, and you know, every article is fake. You know, I always, you know, you know, any TV reports with chyrons, that's all stuff that we did. And so it was just getting all of these pieces together was really, like, it just felt like never ending. I remember just having this like laundry list of stuff that we were doing, and it was just like, oh my God, when are we gonna be done with this? This is killing us.
Yeah, Tim and Mario were the big champions of all those graphics, and Justin Martinez, who we need to bring on next week. And basically, the other thing you left out that was tricky about it was Jonathan had already composed the cue for that, so we backed into how long it could be.
Yeah, we had to fit the
into
cue.
like 6 different like segments, and then I
think we even sped up Sibo's voice a little bit in post, to like fit the timing of it, like not the pitch, but the sort of speed of it, maintaining the pitch to make it like fit exactly how we needed it to fit.
Yeah, it was a Frankenstein monster for sure.
Yeah,
it was really weird. So good job, you guys. Tim,
good job, everyone.
Any fond memories from that week? You created a lot of those graphics.
I just remember, you know, it's funny because I remember when the script had first been written, the whole Amy monologue scene was in fact in there. But to you and Mario's point, we didn't know how we were going to shoot that or how we were going to present that in the footage itself, that when the two of you decided that it was going to be kind of like this monologue of her, I remember we had to create like all this production art of her as far as her getting her degree and putting her in front of an Ivy League school.
Family photos.
Family photo.
Oh my God, yeah.
You all literally gave me gray hair with those photos because they were taken back in the 90s. So not only did we have to get those photos taken, but we also had to de-age them and look as if they were taken in the 90s. So
I actually think, yeah, that montage, we were that like the shooting of it went on forever because it was like we got the main stuff and then we had to bring you back and go to Emerson and film some more stuff, like that shot where it's like,
yeah, the shot where she's talking to the corporate guys and we have the screen behind them and like I'm sitting in there, I'm on the right, I think Alex was on the left, like we're just like silhouettes.
How many pickup shoots did you guys do?
I couldn't even tell you because there were so many. Like
we did a lot at Emerson because remember we did the family shot with them where her dad was becoming a senator, right? And we had everyone lined up.
Yep.
Shot we did at Emerson.
We had
two units at Emerson pickup day. We had A unit shooting and then we had B unit with like the family. Like we split up into two crews.
Yeah. And we had with GoPros doing stuff like getting
GoPros everywhere.
And I went and stole some drone shots.
Well, our next project is going to be one location, two actors. Very grounded. Everything cerebral, you know, in terms of sci-fi, no technology.
Let's just film a movie on Zoom.
I feel like we're about to see.
Well, that's what everyone's doing now, right?
I know, and I don't honestly want to watch a Zoom movie. I feel like anyway, that's another topic for another day. But yeah, what did you think about it, Sibongile, after you saw everything? Because it was kind of like, I always thought of it as like a comic book kind of introduction where you're like bringing a character to the story midway through.
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was the coolest intro. It was the coolest intro ever. And it was also really cool to see the younger me. You know,
She looked so much like you. Yeah, she was cute. Aww.
You know that one scene where she's on her computer, that's where we were shooting at the cabin, the final episode, and we used one of the rooms to show her.
We made that poor girl come all the way out to the cabin?
Yes, we did.
Oh, wow, that was really far. Sorry. And what were we saying about her, Tim?
Oh, and then we had to bring her back again to get some more like childhood shots of her and her and Amy's father and the mother, and that is, I forget the year that was set, but I remember it had to be set in the 90s. So you and Mario were asking me, can you make it look as if it was shot? The photograph was shot in the 90s, and
a lot of filters, a lot of blur.
Lots of 90s grain.
Yeah.
Okay. Beep, beep, beep. Trivia round. A brief break, and then I have more questions. How many circle bets are in this episode? Sibongile and Alan, that's our movie Circle, and we recycled a lot of those actors into this movie. Recycled.
In this episode.
And every episode of this round table, I ask them if
Mario should know.
I should know. Okay, so
I know. I'm just not going to tell you.
Cedric Smith is her dad. Mark, the pilot's her dad.
Yep.
And Dan Lynch, I believe, is the senator who's shaking his hand.
I forgot about that. Okay, so you did better than me. Okay. So how many?
Oh Christ! Who else is in this episode? What else happens in this episode? Oh, do we see Molly's dad in this episode? No, we don't. But that's someone for later.
No, we see. In the next episode, yes, we see him.
Oh no, we see her mom in this one.
We see her mom.
So how many? I ask.
I just said two, but I clearly am missing someone. I'm sure I'm missing like obvious people too, because I'm trying to think of like the really random background stuff.
Maybe
What about
someone,
Michael?
yeah, I was gonna say maybe someone you're talking to right now. He always forgets me.
Is that it? Is it those three?
I'm not unforgettable. Yeah, it's 3. You actually, I forgot that Dan was in that photo too. So yeah, 3. And I looked at IMDb, he wasn't there. I guess he didn't put himself on there. 3. Okay, now next trivia round question is, since this episode deals with a horrific dating app where cannibals find each other to eat, tell, if you have one that you're willing to share, what is a dating app horror story? I think Roxy has the most out of anyone.
I'm sure Roxy has a million.
I bet Tim has some too. You don't have to go.
I've been on a lot of terrible dates, you guys. I'm just trying to find out which one takes the home run.
Or it doesn't even have to have been a date. It could be somebody you talk, some creeper that you talk to on a dating app.
Okay, well, I will share this story. So I went on a date with somebody, and he seemed nice, like, on the app and everything. And this was a time when I was just, like, not doing a lot of research. I was like, all right, he seems cool. Like, I'll meet him, right? And then we met at, like, a library because he says he likes to read or something. And I'm like, cool, he likes to read. He gets there, and like 30 seconds into sitting down with this guy, I was like, oh no, I need to leave. He was very tall, very handsome, but the moment he sat down, all he was talking about was how terrible women are.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was like, basically, like, women are terrible, and like, you know, they treat me like this and that and that, and it was just like extremely like disrespectful. But then I learned later on that he had some disabilities, and like he also was suffering from, you know, he basically has to deal with his mental health, right? So, but the scary part of this was that about 30 minutes into it, I just sat there. He asked nothing about me. He was just like going on and on and on about how terrible life is and how he hates women. It was almost like borderline incel, right? And I said, and this was like in the afternoon. This wasn't even like a night date. I said, hey man, it's very nice meeting you, but I actually got to head out. And then he says, you can't leave. And I'm like, excuse me? And he goes, have one drink with me. And I'm like, I would actually have to go back to work. And my problem at this time, you know, I was out of a long-term relationship, and I was just getting back into dating, and kind of was, and also didn't want to, you know, didn't really know how to cut things off. And then so the Gold Room was right down the street. And so he said, have one drink with me. That's all I ask. And I go, all right, I'm not going to drink, but I'll have one drink with you. And that's it. So then we went to the Gold Room. I ordered a seltzer water. And he said to me, I drink to get drunk. So right away, he gets like a shot and a beer, drinks it in 5 minutes.
What?
And then asks for another one. And then like, basically like he's highly depressive, and I think he also has some other issues, and so he's kind of very socially awkward, you know, and is on the spectrum, and like he basically is just trying to find a way to connect with somebody but doesn't know how.
Aww.
And so dating apps gives him the opportunity because he looks very handsome, he's tall, you know, otherwise he wouldn't be able to like hit up a girl in real life. So then I was like listening to him, and just listening, like that was all I was doing. And he's getting drunker and drunker by the minute. And he was just like, you want me to be honest, right? I was like, yes, women appreciate honesty. And, you know, and he was like, I don't have any self-confidence and whatever. I'm like, oh, confidence is good. You got to build it up. He's like, let me be honest. Your tits are huge, right? And I was like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Apologize, right? And he goes, okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, apology accepted, right? But this is like me, because I can't imagine how women would treat someone like this if they don't have empathy towards somebody. So I sat with him for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I really have to go now. But he mistook my kindness for attraction. So then
oh man,
I was like, okay, I really have to go. My meter's up. I have to go back to work. So then he's like, let me walk you. He's really drunk at this point. walks me back to my car. And this guy is like tall, broad-shouldered, could easily take me down. I mean, I'm pretty strong, but like, I don't want to get into a fucking brawl. You know what I mean? So then he was walking uncomfortably close. And he's like, so you told me that like women like it to like, you want me to be honest. You want me to be like straightforward. And I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, right? And he goes, can I kiss you? And I go, you may not kiss me, right? And then he goes, but and then he goes, wait, so I can't kiss you like now? How about in like 2 minutes? How about if I stand here, will you let me kiss you? I'm like, no, you just can't. I'm sorry, I really have to go, right? And then I realized the only way I could get him off of my back, and this is like the worst way to handle it, like this was maybe 5 years ago or 4 years, I don't remember. But obviously the present me wouldn't deal with this. But I said, maybe next time, right? And that was what got him to say, okay, maybe next time we'll kiss, right? And then I'm like, oh my God. So I got in the car, I drove away. I was so scared. He was texting me like, I want to see you again soon so that I can actually kiss you, right? It was actually very strange for me because I felt so sad for him because all he wanted was a connection and like to have someone kind enough to sit with him and like spend some time with him. But it's just like,
that's sad. It's
really sad.
That's sad. He didn't know boundaries, but it's
yeah, and
a lot of people on these apps are like that.
He doesn't know how, he doesn't know how to function, and so it's like, it's very awkward, because you could see how sad he is and how burned he was from previous interactions. That's why he doesn't like women, right? Because they must have treated him very badly, and this is like the only opportunity he can to like actually have a chance to date. So that was probably, I really did feel scared, like up until that last moment. And I was like, but I was also trying not to hurt him. You know what I mean? So it was a very awkward situation. I think that this was probably my most interesting one. Like,
and then it's scary because back to the dark web, like that was a bad date, and normally that would be the end of it. But thanks to apps and everything, he's now connected to you on Instagram probably and knows what you do.
Yeah, now you have to block them all on all of them. If you want to
find you on other apps. They find you on other apps.
They find you on other apps. Yeah, it's scary.
Like, take a hint. If we're not clicking, if things have not gone, like, and the thing is, I think that so many people are sort of sad, which sad and looking for a connection, and they come on too strong, or they sort of mistake your sort of kindness for attraction, and they go a different way with the conversation, and they come on, and you're just sort of like kind of push back a little bit. Like, I think it goes from like, oh, I feel bad for this person to, oh, this person's a creep. Like, I need to like get away from this person. Like, and then there are, because we're all so connected and so easy to find people on multiple apps, you could maybe block someone or kind of ghost someone.
And they're like, here I am again.
You're right, exactly. And then all of a sudden you get a message on a different app, and it's like, hey, and it's like, dude, like, come on.
Well, and they know your friends. They know like where Instagram totally reveals a lot of, not to give anybody ideas.
Wait, can I share another story? Yes. Really quick. So there was this guy who was messaging me on one of the apps for the longest time, and I just never responded. And then he started following me on Instagram. So on Instagram, I would always promote my friends' businesses. And when I was shooting dark web, on my days off, I would go and make boba at my friend's place. Boba.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So one day this guy walks in because I posted on my Instagram that I was serving. Did I tell you the story, Michael?
Yeah.
And then I didn't recognize him because I was busy like making drinks and like just being nice to everybody. So he got a drink from me. He sat down, he finished it, and then like later he wrote me he wrote me an Instagram message, and he was just like, I look forward to like, seeing you again, like making drink. He's like, you made a drink for me today.
People don't realize how creepy they come off sometimes. I think they think it's cute, and it's like, dude, this is really creepy.
It's just, that's like crossing a major boundary. Like,
and then creepiness is determined by attraction factor, right?
Right.
So if you're not attracted to someone, they're way creepy. But if you were attracted to them, it would be like, oh, that's, that's
If you're
nice.
attracted to them, you allow their creepiness.
Yeah.
Mario tried to troll me on Tinder one time.
I super liked you, and you like just ignored me. I've never been more upset. Speaking about rejection, about dealing with rejection, I super liked Michael.
Well, I was trying to
telling you I did it, and you just ignored me.
I had to keep professionalism in the workplace.
Yes.
Don't lie. You swipe right on all your friends.
True. I do.
Yeah.
So does anybody? I have a few more questions. Does anybody else have any other internet horror stories that they want to share? No.
My relationship predates apps, fortunately. So I haven't experienced like the crazy weirdness of like modern day dating. But I feel for all you guys that have. I feel like there's only horror stories.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually met a lot of people who I like and have like made friends with and things on these apps. But it's super weird in quarantine because I'm not gonna meet anyone right now. Like that's crazy. Like that, I'm not gonna go. What are you gonna go have coffee and masks? Like this doesn't make sense. And so it's one of those things where like every once in a while I'll be like, should I just check this app? And then it's like, what's the point? Like,
Hey, that could be a B story.
Motivation to do it. So I'll sort of absentmindedly kind of swipe for a minute, and then I'll be like, this is stupid. I don't even want to talk to anyone because, there's no point in making, which is maybe stupid on my part, but there's no point in making conversation and trying to make connections with people who you're not going to see for months, maybe years. Like,
Mario, it's going to force you to go back to the chaste days where you had to stay 6 feet apart and not touch on the first date.
We'll just write letters.
Yeah, you're going to have to change your ways.
Letters to each other.
Give it a few months. I'm telling you, there's going to be a romantic comedy based on this epidemic where two people meet via Zoom or something like that.
And break up.
Lifetime's already working on that.
Yeah. They meet, break up, and have kids somehow and over this.
Right.
But it's like nowadays, like when you think about having to go on a date, it's like, who are you willing to die for? Like,
especially because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like sometimes there's a lot of pressure to meet on these apps, and I've definitely met up with people who I'm like, I'm not sure I feel great about this person, but whatever. It's just coffee, or if it's just drink, whatever. But now it's like I need to be really selective about who I'm meeting because I don't want to fucking die and get this terrible virus for someone who I didn't even think was that cool to begin with, and I was just doing it at the time.
Yeah.
It's got to be real grade A stuff now, real selective.
The stakes are high. The stakes have never been higher for dating. Well, I guess thank God for Zoom because it keeps us distance and safe, right? But no physical. No physical love for you, Mario.
Just nudes. Digital nudes.
Just nudes. That's another dark web story for another day. Okay, back to my few remaining questions. So, Alan, how did you become a DP?
You met Roxy at a rave.
I met Roxy at a rave, and she was like, you have a very interesting take on life, and that was it. No, I mean,
she turned you into a DP?
No, actually, no, that's not true. But we did talk at a rave. We already knew each other though, right?
No, we knew of each other, but we never talked.
Right, except at EDC 2010, I think it was. We went to the same school together, so that's how we knew each other.
Oh, okay. So you went to film school, and it was all this was like the long game.
Yeah, I had actually wanted to be a director, and then it was in grad school on my second year film. I realized how much producing is actually involved as a director, as an aspiring director. Like figuring out where lunch is coming from, asking for favors for free, and I was just like totally overwhelmed by that experience. But then I realized why I love movies and why I got into filmmaking was just being able to like visually manipulate people into like having them feel scared or happy or sad with just like all the movies I had made prior, like the student films I've made, were very little dialogue and mostly just told in images. So it just felt like the right path for me.
And what is your dream project?
I want to do like a Star Wars movie.
You'd be great at that.
Or, something in that nature,
And who are your favorite DPs that you're keep tabs on now these days?
The number one, and I think it's everyone's number one, is Roger Deakins. He's like the master.
Yep.
But there's some really cool up and coming ones. I don't know if he's up and coming anymore, but Bradford Young, he's like a very inspiring person. He shot Eight Body Saints, Solo, Selma. Yeah, he's a great DP.
Did he do Arrival as well? No.
Yeah, he did Arrival.
Oh,
too.
he did?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. He's like a very cerebral cinematographer.
Yeah. And is he doing Dune? I can't wait to see that.
No, that's another DP, Greg Fraser. He's also he climbed the ranks within 10 years like crazy. Now he's doing Batman, and he did Rogue One. Yeah, Greg Fraser is also one of my big influences.
Excellent.
Alan, give a shout out to a female DP that you really like.
I really like Rena Yang.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a Asian American DP based out of London. She does really interesting work. I think she's around my age or even younger. She's going to be huge someday, I think. Also Rachel Morrison. She's like super inspirational.
Who's done what? What has she done?
She did Black Panther. I think Fruitvale Station as well. She's about to direct her first feature too, which I'm very interested in seeing.
Nice. And our very own Sarah Garth from Rideshare. DP.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met her.
We've seen Rideshare, right? She did a great job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Roxy came to the set
Michael, man.
to visit.
Okay, Sibongile, dream role, dream part. You've already done it.
No. I don't anything at this point, I don't know. I guess it used to be like that question I used to say, maybe a superhero or a supervillain.
Storm.
Sure. But I'm really just open to, anything that I would feel passionate about. And I'm starting to get more passionate about like stories that we haven't really seen out there. Like, like just during this quarantine time, just thinking about where I come from, or, stuff that's happening in Zimbabwe and South Africa, and stuff that just hasn't been seen on TV. And that's kind of stuff that's making me, feel alive, or, anything that's going to make you feel alive.
Aren't you on the new, what's the name, the new HBO show coming out?
Lovecraft Country.
Awesome. Yeah. Aren't you on that?
Yeah, that's coming out next month. Oh my gosh, in like about 3 weeks, I think.
It's exciting.
Yeah. That's so exciting. Yeah. It looks really good.
That show looks cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Very into that, yeah.
Congrats. And Roxy and Alan, what was it like working with Claire Kramer, aka Glory from Buffy?
We need to fill out the rest of the Buffy cast onto season 2.
Yeah, we need to get the big one. We need to get SMG.
Yes, that is on the list.
We need to get Willow. We've already had Darla, Glory, Xander. Who else did I leave out?
Prisma Carpenter and David Boreanaz.
Oh yeah, that
would be good. Spike, we need Spike.
Oh, Spike, yes.
Okay, I think I'm out of question. Wait, did I have one more? Oh yeah, I just want one more trivia. Chapter 5 of Dark Web. Rest in peace, Jones the cat. We barely knew you. Jones the cat was cut out of the script at the last minute for budgetary reasons. So I just wanted to send my condolences.
Yeah, Jones was going to be Molly's cat that they find in the house when they get in there, and then they were going to take the adventure with them because they felt bad leaving it by itself. But yeah, don't work with kids or animals. So.
And Jones the cat was originally going to find the hatch in the last episode.
Yeah.
You wound up finding the hatch, so it's good for you that Jones was excised from the script. Well, Jones, we barely knew you, but maybe you'll be back for season 2.
Did they answer the Claire question? What was like Claire?
Oh my God, did I skip over it? I'm sorry.
It's like we love Buffy.
I was like, how did I get distracted from that? Thank you, Mario, for bringing it back. Okay, talk about Claire, please.
I was just I've been a fan of hers for like forever. So it's like totally a dream come true that she wanted to embrace this story and go dark with me. And she just like went there, like Claire was not afraid to explore the depths of this character with me. And like, she's a consummate professional. And it was just like, she's just such a good actress, really.
She also had to do the sushi eating. I think it was like 5 a.m. too. The last shot on the entire shoot, and it's like eat this giant slab of maybe room temperature sashimi.
Yeah, like no nothing. Act as if you enjoy it. Like eat a lot of it. Put a lot of it in your mouth. It's gag worthy, really. But she is a champion.
And that wasn't Sugarfish.
No.
And I love the Kim Novak hair you gave her. What is it? I can never remember what it's called. The style.
The chignon.
Chignon. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Very amazing in that red corset.
Oh yes, that red corset was so sexy.
Oh, and the score. We didn't talk about the score from Nuno.
Oh yeah, can we give a shout out to Nuno Malo, please?
Yes, he was on our show, and we'll bring him back. That score was so like James Bond, Hitchcock, so good.
It was. I originally told Nuno that I was listening to a lot of Piazzolla, so a lot of dirty Argentine tango. It's about like push and pull, like a duet of a dance between two people, and so we created 2 very different voices. I think it was like a horn and then like a string, so it was like 2 voices doing this like duet, and then so he was able to really create that sense of like that mystery and lust that comes with like desire with a Argentine tango sort of vibe. So that's what I love about Nuno. Like he's just like, he gets it, like I'm really obsessed with him.
And Roxy, why are you drawn to such dark stories, and what do they release for you, provide for you? And will you continue to be?
I think I have like very terrible past lives. Yeah. That's like the only explanation for it. But honestly, I just think I'm really into social deviance. I think like there's just something so mysterious about stories that are more taboo or that people are afraid to dive into. Because if we look at ourselves, we all have a shadow nature, and we all have secret desires, fetishes, and like unexplored territory that we don't ever present on the surface, but it lives inherently within all of us. And so I don't think these dark desires should ever be just like shoved to the side for the sake of being highly functional, because like if we don't confront them, then we're really confronting a huge part of ourselves. So it's like, for example, I guess this is about cannibalism and like eating people if you want to see it that way, but allegorically it's about like using people, in love, and like, draining each other of like our life essence before we toss them away and go on to the next one. You know what I mean? So you just have to, I don't know, reinterpret your experiences, reinterpret like what we do to each other as humans, and like be able to take it in a way that's like original and provoking, I guess, for an audience to really see it in like a different way. So sociology major, I guess that's why I've always just been so fascinated by like what people consider is right or wrong, because it's all a construct, right? So that's why I love it.
And does it scare you when you write something about people eating each other, that people are going to be offended, or I don't know? whatever.
It really depends on my producers and where I consider would be a safe space for it, because everyone's going to say shit. I mean, you're not going to win everyone over. Audiences are going to be like, that's not cool. But I think that if you get people on your team who understand what you're trying to say and where you're coming from and what your messaging is, like, maybe you'll be able to get the audience to be a little bit more open-minded and open-hearted about the topic you want to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, Eat, Pray, Love, sure, the veneer is cannibalism and like horror, gory stuff, but like, not really though. I think it's quite elegantly done.
Mm-hmm.
But like at the end, it's about, you know, like Ethan's character was very much like feeling so isolated to the point where he didn't feel the need to exist. He wanted to be something for someone in an authentic way. And like, how many of us can relate to that? All of us do. Like, you know? So that's my spiel.
Well, and that was representative of the character of Molly too, because that's what she wanted in her life, and she's the one that, you know, technically wrote that story. So
we all want connection. Yeah, for sure.
I want to connect to all of you right now. I'm trapped. We're trapped in these boxes.
I'm touching all of you with consent right now.
And so, and did you touching with consent? Did you enjoy shooting the A story more, or Eat, Pray, Love, or because they were such? It's a credit to you as a filmmaker having such completely different styles between the A story that you shot and directed, and the actors and everything in it. The performances are very different. Did you enjoy one more than the other?
No, I enjoyed all of it, because like if it's something different, you explore something different within you, and if you work with different people, you know, I think it almost felt like a very different show, you know, which I really liked, even though it lived within the same universe. So it's just like, no, I enjoyed all of it. There was so much to enjoy and nothing to not like. Like, both were intense, you know what I mean? But it challenges you, and I think I love challenges. So that was just what I get off on.
Well, you aced it. You got off good.
Thank you, BB.
Yeah, and I feel like the Eat, Pray, Love is like the undiluted Roxy, and then the A story like was a collaborative effort, you know, because there were so many different people involved. So
sure. I loved how Alan just like went with me the whole time, and I was just like, so they're just gonna stab him here, and then like the blood is going to drip down like beautiful red jewels, and I want you.
So gothic. It's so gothic that
you had a lot of fun directing those scenes, though. I can tell you were like, oh yes. Like,
there's one shot of Claire when she looks at James and smiles with like a Cheshire grin, and I was like, that's Roxy's smile. Like I could just see you like at a bar doing that same thing. That
people call me the Cheshire cat.
That
like,
is such a Roxy smile.
Well, I love how we all go into the darkness together. Don't know how I would do it without y'all. So
I know, who would have thought we'd still want to be making stuff together, like this Zoom episode. Maybe we like each other.
I think so.
I think we do. Well, thank you all for joining.
That doesn't always happen. So
sure don't.
Yeah.
Sure don't. And it was like a tough show to make. Like we all had disagreements and stuff like that, but it's like, you know.
The journey was long and challenging, but we got through it, and that's what bonded us.
Well, I think that's what happens with these, with these projects too, is, as you make more and more projects, you'll find people you like working with and people you don't like working with. Mm-hmm. And kind of one by one, the people you don't like working with will kind of fall to the side, and the people you do like working with, you'll continue to make stuff with. And you sort of, it's sort of like natural selection in that way. Like the people you like with, you continue to work with and do things with and keep in your life, and in that way, you kind of, you over the years, you're sort of fine tuning your team and your creative sort of your muses and your support system, as you're building things together that you all like and you all get along while you're doing it. Because there are so many opportunities to clash, because there's so much of this is ego, and when you're making something, you're putting yourself out there and you're putting yourself into it, and so it's very easy to be defensive and to fight and to not be collaborative. But when things work, you kind of keep those people in mind for future stuff, because you want to build on what worked, and when it doesn't work, you just say, okay, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Wait, Alan, you said what is it like working with me? You had a coin for it once because I thought that you hated working with me. Remember, because you're so dry and like deadpan, and I could never tell what you're feeling.
What are you referring to exactly?
Remember how like when we worked together, I was like, "This is the worst," because like.
Oh yeah, you said that we would argue all the time,
Yeah,
and
we
I just said I thought we just had like just I don't know what the phrase was that I used.
You said playful collaboration. I'm like,
playful collaboration. Exactly.
I wouldn't really call Alan playful, but yes.
You know,
he's playful tonight. He was focused.
Such a dry laugh.
He was focused, but it's true. Like you have to find like you spend all that time working together, and like even a show like this or like bigger shows, you gotta be compatible.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like one way is wrong or right. It's just like who are you compatible with, working wise. I think
it's very funny. I think to see me and Roxy work. I think from an outside perspective, I feel like it is because I'm very quiet and dry and like one face.
And I'm just like.
It's like Lucy and Ricky. Lucy and Roxy's definitely the Lucy. And what an honor to be Lucy. Thanks y'all for joining. Alan and Sibongile for joining this crazy party. Hopefully for the last of these roundtables, I want to do like a watch along for our episode, the last episode, and we'll giggle and shoot the shit.
Get really drunk.
I won't have an Oprah moment where we talk about loss.
Yes.
What does loss mean to you? Thanks, y'all, and stay healthy and safe and all that stuff. And tune in next link for Dark Web 1.6. Bye.